be 30 right down, but that's still later.
Yeah. Like I'm turning the PRT on.
Copy, the PRT's coming on.
And it's set to A2 on the controller.
And that's correct. A2 clockwise 5 is going to be the setting.
Okay. There you go. Turn slowly just in case there's not enough. Yep, okay. Okay, I'm ready for you to turn. Okay. Let me retract this one. I'm going to go over. Agree.
Steve Smith actually has his feet locked into a portable foot restraint that's attached to a socket on the side of the telescope.
Back it'll reach. Okay.
And again, John Grunsfeld here on the end of the robot arm and a foot restraint, handing the rate sensor units off to Steve Smith inside the telescope.
The back tether is on it. I'm releasing my tether. It's in the bag. Got it.
And the first of the old rate sensor units being stowed in a bag for return to Earth. And Steve Smith has the new bag, or the new rate sensor unit, now inside the telescope for ready for installation.
Is it okay, Steve? Yes. And the bag is closed. I have it. You have it. You get up as high as I can. Is on front floor? Take me in 3 feet, please. Copy, in 3 feet. Feet to your helmet. And stop. Oh. I've got it. I'm letting go. I've got it. And I'll get the... Okay. Okay. Okay, PRT Alpha 2 clockwise 5. Stand by. I never changed the PRT controller. Can I hand it back to me? No, I'm okay. Okay. You can hold that if you want. Okay, you got it? I've got it. I'll go slowly. Alpha 2 on the controller. Watch your backpack. Click. Make sure you go forward and up. 6 inches, 4 inches. You go towards the cockpit. That's 10-2. Watch your star tracker, Shay. Lean towards the cockpit when you come up. Okay. Okay. Good. Front module next to it, I guess. That's what I was thinking we might want to do. And John, can I stop the body pitch up? Yes, you may. Okay. Well. Hey.
Steve Smith confirming or commenting that the old rate sensor unit has quite a tight fit, putting it back into the canister for the return trip home, but the outer lid to that canister closes fine. So for the time being, the crew members have been given a go to press on and change out the second of the 3 rate sensor units. In the meantime, the Hubble project has confirmed a good activation of the first installed rate sensor unit.
Sorry about the delay. We concur with your plan to leave the cope door lid closed on the RSU2 as it is.
Thank you.
So now that that door is closed, Steve Smith will climb back into the portable foot restraint that he's now repositioned, and the same procedure that was followed just moments ago with the first rate sensor unit will be followed once again, removing the connectors, 2 connectors, demating those connectors on the old rate sensor unit number 3, and then unbolting it with assistance from John Grunsfeld, installing the new unit, reconnecting the 2 connectors, and then Grunsfeld will then drive the 3 bolts into position once again on the 3rd rate sensor unit.
Okay.
The order that these are being changed out is rate sensor unit 2 first, and then number 3, and then finally number 1. And the order is specific in the because all of the gyroscopes in numbers 2 and 3 were failed, with only 2 remaining working gyroscopes. So in the event that the crew needed to end the task early, at least they would have changed the failed units first.
The right foot's going up over the stirrup. So your toes under, you push it in. Rotate and rotate. You're going to have to help me. Okay. Jean-Francois, can you take me to my right? No, that's okay. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Sir? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Go for connector demate, Michael?
MI, Houston Discovery, do we have a go for RSU3 connector demate?
Discovery, you have a go for RSU3 connector demate.
Copy. Steve, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Jean-Francois, take me up. Moving up. Also, if you could come out about 1 foot. Out 1 foot. J1 and J2 are disconnected. Up the aisles, keep moving up. Continue up. So I'm going to A3. Okay, take me to my left, Jean-Francois. Okay, stop. Stop you up. Let's just cycle a couple times. Yep. I'll hold that for you. I'll just put it in here. Okay. Two feet on your helmet. 1 foot. Good foot plate clearance. 1 foot. And stop. 8 inches. Good. Up. You're on. Okay. 11 turns. Correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh no, ball pops out. Okay. Up. On. I've got it. Okay. Reset that? Yep, let me reset it real quick. Okay. I've got it. You've got it. Okay. I've got it. Okay. So what's that? Take me 3 feet out. 3 feet out. Turn slowly. I'll turn slowly. And stop. Stop. Good, sir. Yep. Connectors. Connector cap. I got that. They're a little stiff to get in the bag. Okay.
So you have 3R out of the ROU bag?
Yep. So I'm tethered to the connector caps. It's locked. Go. Okay. I'm tethered to the RSU-3R. Go underneath with this. Okay, that locked off. I'm going over. Okay. I'm tethered to the old RSU-3. Gate's closed. Gate is closed and locked.
The connectors and micro pads, if you remember, the micro pad next to J1 is chipped.
Okay. And so I should have told you it is in fact still chipped. I'll let John take a look at the connectors.
And the spacewalk now a little more than 3 hours in duration, again with John Grunsfeld on the end of the shuttle's robotic arm. Just taking the old rate sensor unit away from Steve Smith. Steve Smith has already removed the old one. It's now stowed in a little stowage bag on the platform, work platform on the end of the robotic arm. And now what they're doing is looking at the new rate sensor unit that's ready to be installed to check the connectors to make sure they're clean before installing them inside the telescope. Discovery is about midway through the 44th orbit of its flight. The present altitude is 377 statute miles. And we should have television for another few minutes, about four minutes or so, as the installation of the new unit is ready to begin. Again, there are 3 rate sensor units. One has already been installed and checked out by the Hubble project to be in good shape. And Steve Smith now ready to install the second of the 3 rate sensor units,
Yeah.
each housing 2 gyroscopes.
Arm still moving. Stop the arm. Stop the arm. Stop. Stop. Okay, I've got it. Okay.
Joining us here at the Public Affairs Console is astronaut Joe Tanner, and Joe's very familiar with the Hubble Space Telescope. He actually performed 2 spacewalks on the most recent servicing mission, what now, Joe, about 3 years ago, and so he's been following along very closely with the activities here. One of the things, Joe, we were talking about off the air, of course, was the closeness and that they have here in terms of clearances and the importance of avoiding some of these sensitive things here. And can you talk about what they have to do and how that relates to what they do in the water tank and in maintaining those clearances?
Yes, Kyle. It's a real tight fit for Steve inside the telescope right now, and the black cone shapes you see in front of him that block our view of his face actually are the sunshades for the star tracker. They're quite fragile, and so he needs to work his body around in that small space without even touching the sunshades. The visibility, consequently, of the box and how it interfaces into its mounting plate is not very good, and we didn't have good video at the time, but RSU number 2, they had some difficulty getting it properly aligned so that they can gauge all 3 of the bolts that hold the box in place. We practiced this positioning extensively in the water to find out what the right PFR settings are and body position that he could get to not make contact with any of the sensitive equipment inside the telescope. He's really buried inside the telescope right now, more so than they will be on any of the other EVAs. It really helps to have long arms in this position because he can only get his body so close without touching the sunshades, and the long arms helps him to reach. As you can see right now, he's about ready to interface the box with the mounting plate, and then John will drive the 3 bolts that hold it in place.
One thing a lot of people remember from way back on STS-61, the first servicing mission where Story Musgrave was in the same position inside the telescope, was had Jeff Hoffman actually holding his legs, and notice that Steve Smith has got a portable foot restraint now that he's using, and obviously stability is a big factor in doing these kind of tasks.
Yeah, we worked after the 61 mission. We worked hard on trying to find a good foot restraint that wouldn't require one person to hold another. And through all of that work, because we trained to do this task for STS-82, the last service mission, and it was deemed not necessary as we got closer to our launch. We found that it was a tremendous advantage to have the longer arms to get your body in the right position and still be able to reach the box. And Steve is a little taller than Story was.
Yeah, that's another thing we were commenting on, and a lot of people have maybe heard this, but all 4 of these astronauts, and as well as the 4 that were on your flight, are completely cross-trained in every task that's scheduled on a flight. And of course, now that these 2 gentlemen are out there, it's obviously not necessary for this task, but can you talk a little bit about cross-training and the importance of that, and how you might shuffle events around?
Yeah, that's very important actually for a mission like this, where all of the tasks are modular in nature. If you have an hour's worth of time, then you look for a task that's about that long, and if it doesn't happen to be the task on that day, that's okay. You can fit different tasks. So it's important that each of the members is trained to do all of the tasks on the mission, and that's what they have done here. As you get closer to the flight, you practice more exclusively on the ones that you have timelined nominally for you to do, but everyone is familiar with everyone else's task. And the additional advantage to having that is that now the people inside know the task almost as well as the people on the outside, and so if there's a problem arises, then they've got experts inside to confer with.
And that's another good point, is we hear a lot of talking, a lot of interaction between the guys outside and the guys inside, and that really is
help him do that. But there's no replacement really for the eyeballs that are just a few feet away from it, telling them everything's okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. We know you got to bounce back and forth between the consoles, and so we do appreciate you coming by. And I guess you're going to be here for all 3 spacewalks, so hopefully we can take advantage of your expertise.
Yeah, the spacewalks tomorrow. Actually, the fine guidance sensor is the same one that I pulled out on the last mission. It's been refurbished and launched on this one, so I'll have a real vested interest in how that one goes.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
You bet, Kyle.
Better. That's good for you. Hold that.
Keep holding, John, for another 5 seconds. And John, we're done with photo closeout on RSUs and NICMOS.
Very good, thank you.
Close the doors.
Left and right door. Okay, look forward, take me to my right, about 3 feet. About 3 feet to your right. And left body roll. And body roll left.
Discovery Houston for IV. We'd like you to stand by on the door closure for 1 moment. Sorry to interrupt.
Roger, will you stand by? Arm stop.
Igniting socket.
Okay, Mike, I think I've heard 2 sets of numbers. I'm sorry, it's probably my fault. Could you read them really slowly? The pitch at the foot plate is?
10.5, 10.5.
Okay.
Next is the roll.
Yes.
That's Bravo and a half. Bravo 0.5.
Okay.
Is the PFR yaw 9. 9 o'clock, I guess.
Okay, I've got 9.
Then we go to the articulating socket. That's a pitch of 2.5.
Okay, 2
I think we can do that. Steve and John, you can go.
Sure.
Okay, John, your task is, of course, to start going for the Essex wrench.
Okay, I'm on the way.
And John, we're sorry about that.
That's okay. I've got the right door. Okay.
Astronauts Steve Smith and John Grunsfeld now. Steve Smith on the left and John Grunsfeld on the right. Now passing through 5 hours, 17.5 minutes into the spacewalk. The crew members now have completed the NICMOS exercise, that is removing bayonet caps and opening valves on the coolant in and the coolant out lines, that to allow any residual coolant that may be frozen in those lines to dissipate in the vacuum of space. And that a task designed to prepare for the installation of a new coolant system for that near-infrared camera and multi-object spectrometer, which was installed on the last servicing mission in February of 1997. That task now complete. Crew members are closing the aft shroud doors, and once that's completed, they'll move on to the next task again, which is to install those 6 voltage temperature improvement kits, basically voltage regulators to ensure that the Hubble's 10-year-old batteries do not overheat. The batteries are actually working fine, but as they age, there's always a consideration of those batteries overheating during the charge and discharge cycle. And so these VICs, as they're known by their acronym, voltage temperature improvement kits, will be installed to ensure that the batteries do not overheat, and mainly a precaution, but one that the Hubble team would like done today if possible before the crew members come back inside.
Okay, moving up. We want to do the handle bolt first because the top two bolts, John can't quite swing them into the bathtub because of the, the seals are so thick. So we're thinking if we tighten the door bolt a little bit, those two top ones will go into the bathtub. So there's 1, 2, 3, 'The PRT has stopped. In the where it stops, I suspect it may be out of battery. Okay, you can stop now? I'll stop. Okay, we'll turn the top bolt.
Working on the top bolt.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 1/4, and the tool stopped turning. It's turning slower and slower.
We copy, John.
As it goes. What kind of torque can we get with the PGT?
Good, John. You have 4.6. And the handle bolt was torqued 5.5 turns to MTL slippage. Stop.
One, 2 and a half.
Okay, we copy that. That's the top thing.
That's the top one.
So at this point, in order to maximize the time available, the crew members will split off. John Grunsfeld will remain at the telescope and conduct this task of demating 3 of the battery connectors one at a time, and then installing a voltage temperature improvement kit in line with each battery connector.
T2 from Vic J2.
There's a jumper between the charging unit of the battery and the battery itself. And now he'll install the second one, again disconnecting a cable and installing the voltage temperature improvement kit as a jumper between the charging unit side and the battery side. And again, he is working in Bay 3, which is directly above the earlier work site. Directly behind this open door is Bay 2, and that's where the other 3 batteries are housed. So the attempt is to at least get one set of 3 voltage temperature improvement kits installed during this spacewalk, and if time permits, move on and install the remaining 3. But at this point, the plan is to pretty much end the EVA after installing 3 of these on this side in this bay, and then coming back inside and installing the other 3 on tomorrow's spacewalk. The spacewalk is approaching 6.5 hours, and John Grunsfeld is making a fairly good time installing these voltage temperature improvement kits. And again, this particular bay houses 3 of Hubble 6 batteries. The other 3 batteries are behind the door, the bay directly next to this one to the left.
Things look great.
Copy, no debris. And John, the doors come loose again.
Okay. I think I'll just have to live with it.
Copy, and I concur.
Okay, and P2 Vic is mated to the battery, and I have Vic number 008 Foxtrot.
008 Foxtrot. Copy, is mated.
Vic, I can see the little buttons through the windows in the connector, and it's Vic 009er Foxtrot.
Copy, 009 is installed.
And I can verify the pins are good and no debris. And P2 Alpha. And that's attached to the battery side. So I have a little bit of Velcro work to do.
John, I didn't copy the last. Did you say you had finished all of the battery connections?
All the battery connections are complete. I have a little bit of Velcro work to do.
We copy.
Drive back into place to secure that door, and a discussion here in the flight control room is to determine how much time remains and the ability for John Grunsfeld to move on and, as originally planned, go ahead and do the other 3 remaining voltage temperature improvement kits, that based on how quickly he was able to do the first set in Bay 3. So that decision pending, but based on how quickly he was able to accomplish that task in Bay 3, there is a likelihood that he'll be able to move on and complete the task with the other 3 batteries in Bay 2, which is right next to the one he's just now closing out.